counted about 18 of y'all in here. If there were 10 more people in here, I could say the statistic, but there's not. 1 in every 28 teens go to prison or jail. That makes a total of about 700,000 teens that have either went to jail or are going to be in jail. Out of that 700,000, 1 in 280 of them get life sentences. A life sentence. That's until you die, without parole. 14 states have no minimum age for juveniles to be tried as an adult. The youngest, back, I believe, in 1986, he was 8. He was 8, he was tried as an adult, and he got 25 years to life. A recent court case back in 2012, Miller v. Alabama, ruled that juveniles' life without parole was unconstitutional. That was only 3 years ago. Due to that court case, 6 states have abolished juveniles' life without parole completely, and 5 states, which one is Texas, have only abolished it for some categories. The other 39 states either didn't have this sentencing to begin with or refused to answer. I'm going to tell a little story real quick. Jordan Brown, age 11, this was back in 2013, accidentally shot his father's fiancée who was pregnant with who was pregnant, and the judge gave him life without parole. Luckily, they appealed this, and he was given amnesty for this case because his father said, "Do not put my son in prison, for he did not know the consequence of his actions." Just imagine an 11-year-old spending his whole life in jail because he didn't know what he was doing. It costs about $6.2 billion to house one person for about 80 years in prison. $6.2 billion. Now multiply that times 2,500. That's a lot of money. And did you know that the U.S. is the only country in the world that has this sentence for juveniles? The only country out of all of them. What even makes it worse is that a lot of kids who get this sentence, they're first-time offenders. It's not like they robbed people, it's not like they killed several times. This was just one mistake, and they got this sentence just because of that one mistake. According to the sentencingproject.org, 79% of the juveniles witnessed home violence. 32% grew up in public housing. 40% are in special education classes, and 47% have been physically abused. This just makes it even worse that these kids come from a hard family, a hard life growing up, so they don't know what they're doing when they take a gun and they shoot someone and they commit capital murder. They just see it as, I'm defending myself against the person who's trying to hurt me. Another thing that Sentence Projects.org states is that there's a lot of racial disparity in these sentences. 42.4% are African Americans, and then only 23.2% are whites. Which is funny because the total population in America for African Americans is only about 14%. So that puts it almost half of what total population African Americans have in the United States are in prison. And the white population make up almost about, I believe, 60 or 65%. There are many alternatives to what we can do to help these children. Some alternatives are parole and release. We can separate prisons for juveniles. So we can still put them in prison, but we don't have to put them in adult prison. Raising the minimum trial age to 18 or at least 16. And resentencing to terms no more than 25 years and be immediately available for parole after 15. Because I know, just like many of y'all would not want to live their entire life in prison because of a silly mistake. Thank you. Shay.
Okay, so there was a kid, and I forgot his name, in the 90s who abused another kid and raped him and sexually assaulted him. But he was later retried as an adult, as he was an adult about 20 years later. Is that a more acceptable, or would you rather have more of a juvenile court for a juvenile prison for that kind of thing? Because he was tried for murder.
What age was he?
He was around 14 when he assaulted a kid about 8 years old. He sexually assaulted him and then put him on fire, and he later died from burns.
Oh,
mentally.
What?
Asking for that.
Right.
No, that's mental.
Isaac.
So you said that instead of sentencing juvenile to adult prison, sentence them to juvenile prison, what would be the benefits of that? Is there like a maximum sentence?
The prison system is very corrupted in the United States. And if we put a child who is 13, 14 inside a adult penitentiary, many of them are going to be sexually assaulted or raped or jailbait or murdered. But if we can create a separate juvenile penitentiary, I do believe if you do the crime, you should do the time. I'm not just because you're a kid doesn't mean you should get off the hook that easily. But if we could create a system that allows them to be in a more comforted zone, that they're still learning, and we still tell them, this is what you did, you have to do the time, but we're not going to put you in a adult prison with people who are there for probably much harsher crimes.
They're babies.
You're the babies.
Okay, so you said that.
They're
I like how it does.
They're still.
So with the life sentence, what would your, I don't know how to word this. Like, what would your limit be where like they shouldn't get licensed and where they should get licensed? Because you know certain, like some kids actually know what they're doing.
Where's the borderline?
There are many,
There's like a.
there are many factors that can be taken into this. One would have to be state of mind. I know a lot of adults, but it's very difficult. They plead insanity, which is, I think, ridiculous case of it.
Because
But it's state of mind, age is also a really big contributor. I don't know, I would probably put the cutoff age about 15.
Yeah, because by the time you're 15, you're pretty, like, you know what you're doing, you know what a lot of things are, especially nowadays, the kids know exactly what a gun is, they know, like, the dangers of it, so if they shoot someone, they know what they're doing, so, I don't know.
Do you think because of the educational, the way some of these children are set up in life, basically they're set up to go to prison, it's like, the system is set against them, they don't get education, they don't know how to behave, they have issues that are so many layers and patterns for them to stay out of trouble. They don't know how to stay out of trouble. They're like bred to think that they are not even people. They don't even consider themselves as people. They become gang members, and they treat themselves like animals in packs. That's why they like their pit bulls and stuff like that. They identify with that kind of lifestyle, and it's unfortunate because I know very young people who started their life in jail and they're still in jail. It's like they never had a chance.
Yeah, that is true with that the juveniles, if they start getting into gangs and they drop out of school and someone isn't there to tell them the right from wrong,
No direction.
they are more likely to later commit more violent crimes or be sentenced to prison for a longer time.
I never really thought about children.
Do me a favor, Snow, and take Alex' last question,
Alex?
and we'll finish up.
They spend their lives in jail.
Do you
Like
think
career
violence
that's what they
in
call
video games contribute to this?
Video games?
Been in jail since he was 15.
What I'm saying is, does it contribute to the mindset? Oh, I can do this in a video game, can I go, I can go do this in
Then
real
I'm like
life?
somebody telling me that because that.
Does it contribute?
I don't
That's what I'm asking.
think it does. I play GTA, I play Battlefield, but I'm not gonna go out there and grab a gun and start shooting up motherfuckers. I'm sure it's
I
a
played Halo.
Let's give Marcus a hand.
I've never